Hello everyone, my lovely Yorkshire puddings, and we're going to do a video on this AGL Tien that come out, the new Super Strike. So he can be possibly one of the best Tiens going. It's pretty decent, and he's a great support. So we'll have a look. So he is an AGL type 3 key 77%. That's normals, what you expect, the 77%. So let's have a look. 2 key and 70% at the start of a turn. He gets an additional 50% to stats and a chance of performing a critical hit plus 7% per Earthbred Fighters category ally in the same turn. It's pretty weird, but how this works out is you just need to have one ally attacking in the same turn from Earthbred Fighters, and you get the additional one. The chance of critting stacks per ally in the same turn, so that's just 14%, but you get this just with one. You get an additional 50% attack and just attack when facing just one enemy. You get an additional defense of 50%, just defense when facing two or more. And you have a 30% chance of stunning all enemies on attack. And that's just once per rotation. Well, once per rotation per attack. So plus an additional attack and defense and chance of performing a crit plus 30% when the target enemy is stunned. What does he do for his super attack? Well, he doesn't stun, but he does raise defense. It's a 30% buff, and he does lower enemies' attack. It's a 20% buff for 3 turns. So he's good and he's not. So you have to figure out a way of actually being able to stun the enemy. That's not so bad, because if you use him on Earthlings, there's plenty of people on Earthlings that can actually have a decent chance of stunning. In particular, what can we have that's on here? In particular for Earthlings, it doesn't actually show on here who can stun, but one in particular who can is the Kid Chi-Chi, so she could be an alternate option. So we have a look at this. So you need one additional person from the Earthbred Fighters. So when you basically it's just Earthlings and anyone who was just raised on Earth, right? So that does include a few of the Goku. So that's not too bad. So we'll have a look at some of his best ones going, because even though it's Earthbred Fighters, you see what I mean? You got a few Gokus on there. Realistically, you're looking at Earthlings. And Z Fighters. Z Fighters might be a way. So he's got Z Fighters, Dodon Ray, Soul versus Soul, Super Strike, Supreme Power, Golden Z Fighter, and Shattering the Limit. Now, this guy has an advantage over the other Super Strikes in the fact that he doesn't have like Bombardment on there, right? He does have Soul versus Soul, but that's like it's one that's more straight up, more for like taken down. I think it's gosh, is it Cell? I think it's something that does something with Cell. Outside of that, the only thing that you would probably be hindered on is Super Strike. Yes, you can get it with Super Strike STR chunks. Is there anyone else onto here? No, there isn't. So there's only one that you could actually trigger. In fact, going with him, you can get Z Fighter, Soul versus Soul, Shattering the Limits. That's not too bad. Mainly, you're just looking at a Tien. However, there's a few Tiens coming out. One of the most recent ones as well was actually this guy, which is the LR, who is probably at the moment, he is the best Tien, and he's a standalone Tien. Of course, he has by far the most attack and defense. Speaking of this new guy, what does he have in terms of his stats? It's not too bad. Okay, defense is about average for what I expect. In fact, if anything, can be a bit better. We check out some of the barbershop ones, and some of them even hit 9,000. His attack's about right for what it is, which is pretty decent. But his links, you can get a few links. On Earthlings, there are a few other Tiens, but you'll have to run them. That's Tien and Chaozu, so it's just this guy. You could run at Chaozu for sure, but I mean, realistically, look at the people you're going to run with, right? You're going to only end up running this guy. So, I mean, he's solid, but you're going to be looking at as a what else that you can do around that. Yeah, you can get Z Fighters, Dodon Ray, and Shattering the Limit. That's not so bad. As we look around, you are probably going to able to get Shattering the Limit quite a lot in Z Fighters. Supreme Power you might be able to get. I don't know quite on here who's got the Supreme Power. But yeah, but he's not too bad as a TN. He's probably one of the best ones. Is he? It's hard to say. It's nice that you get the additional defense when facing 2 or more enemies, which of course is nice for Super Battle Road Monotype. Speaking of Super Battle Road, Monotype's probably going to be where he's best at. It's nice that he has the additional attack, and you'll have that extra defense, and then when you go down to the one enemy, you'll lose that, and then you'll only end up having him. I mean, it's nice that you will likely get this. So you'll likely have, I don't know, a double 130% or something along the lines, and then you'll have this. There is a chance, I don't know if he's on here, there is actually a chance. Yeah, so this guy, he is also best on a monotype, and he is actually a support buff for a super AGL type as well. So, theoretically, you can get your 70%, you can get your additional 50. He would also qualify as Earthbred Fighter, that Great Saiyan man, and he's also going to give a 30% buff. So do you know what? Altogether, this guy can hold out well. Maybe I'll have to do a video on him whenever I get my computer back, and be able to see how he fares. In terms of content, yeah, docking events, yeah, he could probably help out in some battlefield content, level 1 and 2 mainly. He can do okay. He has this. See, if this was like high chance, so you get a 50% of stunning all enemies, that just basically means I would presume what that means is when you start the rotation, you have a chance of stunning all enemies. Otherwise, it basically means you just stun all enemies on attack. But as it's all enemies, I got to imagine that's when you start the rotation, you'd have a 30% chance just to stun them out. If that procs, oof, that cannot be great. You could just have him as a floater. He comes around and he gets that. I don't know how many times that's applicable. I don't know if that's a 30% chance every rotation you can get the stun. That seems to be how it works. That's the most curious bit about him. That's nice. If it was high chance, then that would be really nice. So you'd have a hell of a lot more usability. This is a bit weird. You get additional stats and a crit hit chance 30% when the target enemy is stunned. Not many people here actually have that stun option. So that's one of his that's one of his best partners, and not really one else here actually have the stun. So speaking of which, so Earthbred Fighters is what he's really on, but especially we have a look at what he's at. Earthlings and Earthbred Fighters, worthy rivals and bond of friendship. So Earthlings is probably going to be one of the better ones you can have. It's not too far off Earthbred Fighters, but Earthlings is going to be one of the worst ones going. So we'll have a look at the Earthlings, because recently they have actually had quite a few buffs. In particular, this guy's had his EZA. Yes, he needs a Kid Goku specifically, but he can be competent. We have this LRTN, the best currently. Then you have the LR Jackie Chun from the tournament. Then you also have these two who have just awakened via the Baba Shop. So again, we've had what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the past few months. 6 in the past few months, and even this guy at the moment, he's a bit of a throwaway. He'll probably EZA at some point next year, I'd imagine. But I mean, you're looking at 6 reasonable units that you can actually work with. He will have a support from the Great Saiyan man if you run him on monotype. Most of these Baba shops were actually applicable on only monotype, but it was nice. The devastating combination between between essentially the Master Roshis is quite incredible. Him alongside him is quite a potent one. In fact, even these two would be quite nice. These two, as well as they're also serving as int, would also serve as battlefield and monotype super battle road kind of deal. So Earthlings becoming coming better, but despite all this is still not great enough for Earthlings. This Chi-Ji, by the way, is the one who has like a 70% chance to stun. So does she. She has like a 50% chance to stun. So there are opportunities to get that extra stats, that 30% to crit, and so it is absolutely viable. They don't share much in the way of links, period. But it is viable that you could actually do it. So that's going to be it. That's going to be a quick review of this guy. He is pretty decent for what we expect. I mean, none of these are absolutely fantastic. The only really one who's blown me away was the AGL Kid Vegeta. He is by far and away ridiculous. He's the only one who can actually bust out multiple 5 and 6 million attack stats. It's ridiculous. I mean, he does more damage than pretty much some of the older LRs or some of the older TURs in the game going. Is ridiculous. But yeah, no, so don't expect anything more. He is somewhat well thought out, but he could be a little bit better here and there. It's a little bit of RNG. Yeah, you need this to proc, and yeah, realistically, you want someone to stun, and yes, you might want someone like the Great Saiyan Man to really help him out. I wouldn't stress. I must stress beyond, as I say, the few categories, the few events that I've said, I wouldn't run him. But yes, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all on the next time. Thank you very much.